Well, hey folks, welcome to Solar Cabin Channel. I've been off-grid now for over 20 years, and in that time I have done a lot of videos on how to set up solar panel systems. At first I had my solar panel systems up on top of my roof. Some of you guys might remember that, on top of my porch roof. I moved them down to a ground mount system, and I've talked about types of solar panels and wiring and batteries, inverters, all that sort of stuff. But one of the things that I haven't really covered is proper solar panel orientation. Orientation means the direction that it is facing, so that it's getting the most sun, and the tilt and angle of solar panels. And that is probably the most important aspect of setting up your off-grid systems, is that you're going to get as much sunlight on your solar panels as possible. So today I'm going to take you inside and we'll discuss how to set up your solar panels to get the optimum amount of solar. Just so you know, this is my 400 watt system. I lived with this 400 watt system for many years. In fact, it was only the last couple of years that I increased my system up to 1 kilowatt with some recharging stations. This 400 watt system has ran everything in my cabin now for approximately 10 years, okay? And you can see that my solar panels are facing towards the sun, which is the south, but is facing towards true south, which is what I will explain to you here in a minute. My panels are angled at about 45 degrees, a little bit less because I wanted the proper tilt on them. This is a stationary mount, or what's called a ground mount system, so that it can get optimum sun in the winter. In wintertime, our sun goes across the sky at a lower arc, which I'll explain, goes across the lower arc. So these are angled to get the most amount of solar power in winter. That's when the sun is not at its highest and you're not getting as much sun. So most off-gridders will set their panels up like this. But now there are ways you can get it so that you can set them. This is set permanently at this angle. There are now mounting systems available that weren't available when I did it, that you can adjust this for both a summer and a winter angle. So we're going to talk about that, and I'll recommend a few products for you when we go inside. Okay guys, so if you're going to be using solar at your homes, whether you're going to be using it off-grid or for a grid-tied system, for an emergency backup system, you really need to understand proper solar panel orientation. Now when we're talking about solar panel orientation, we're talking about the direction that it faces. So it's going to be facing the sunlight. Obviously solar panels work off sunlight, so you want to get optimum amount of sunlight on your solar panels. But orientation also means the angle and tilt. So this is my little solar panel. Isn't it cute? It is an actual solar panel. I'm going to use this for this demonstration. The angle and tilt will be the direction that it faces for your geographic location, and so that it is getting the maximum amount of sun. Now that changes depending on where you are located on the earth. So it's not all the same for everybody, okay? And for you people that are down under, I know you're going to question some of the things I say in here. You either stand on your heads or flip the video upside down and it'll all work out for you. I'm just making fun. I have a lot of mates down in Australia. Don't get upset at me, guys. All right. So this is a solar panel. You want to make sure that your solar panels are facing sunlight. They have to get maximum amount of sunlight. This is extremely important because even a small amount of deviation can make a major difference of how much solar power you're going to get out of your solar panels. And it can make a huge amount of difference if you get it wrong and have the angle wrong for what you need. So you're going to want to be able to face it into the sun, and then you're also going to want to have it directed towards the angle that the sun travels in your geographic location, and you're going to want to have it tilted so that it is getting the maximum amount of sun. Now tilt, as you can see here, I'll try to show here from the side. Okay, tilt is the angle forward and backward. Okay, and angle is the angle that it is tipped towards the direction of the sunlight. Now, people commonly mistake, and I see this all the time, is just saying face your panels to the south. Well, magnetic south and true south are two different things. Magnetic south points to the poles and that operates off of the magnetic field that is in the earth. Does not follow a south to north position across the sky when it's traveling, okay? So your geographic south, or what we call a true south, is different than a magnetic south. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that. Now, generally what you want to do is you want to point your solar panels towards true south, because that will be the angle and direction that the sun is actually traveling across the sky for your geographic location. South may be different than that, and that small amount of deviation from angle can make a big difference in how much solar you're getting. Now I'm going to get a little bit deeper into that because there are sometimes some reasons that you may want to change that direction, so it isn't facing exactly true south, depending on when you need the most solar power from your panels. But we'll get into that deeper in a minute. So here I've made a very simple compass, all right? And as you can see here, hopefully you can see this, I've just got the basic directions gone on here. I've got my south, my north, my east, I have to look because I'm backwards here, my east and my west. Okay, so these are basic compass coordinates. If you've never worked with a compass before, you can go online and learn all about compasses. We won't worry about that. I'm going to assume that you at least understand the basic directions on a compass, all right? So this is my north, my south, my east, and my west on my direction here. Now, I'm going to, when we had to set up our solar panels when I was first starting out, we would actually have to go out in order to determine true south. We would stick a stick in the ground and we'd wait for noon, and then we'd go out and look at the shadow to see if we were angled it directly at true south. Now, if I angle it at south, that may not be the right, the best position for your solar panels. So we're going to want to angle it at true south. And now there are a couple of websites. I'm going to go on here. I will put the links to these websites in the comments because this makes it so much easier when you're orienting your panels now. You can actually go find out where true south is, the angle that you should be angling your solar panels to, right online just from using your zip code or your city or your address. All right? Okay, both of the websites that I recommend are by Footprint Hero. The first one is Solar Panel Direction by zip code. And it's really simple to use, folks. All you need to do is type in either your zip code or they can look it up by city or address. So here we're going to, again, we're going to use, Hollywood, California. And I'm just going to type in 90210 because I know that zip code. And then it will ask you down, it will give you a list because there may be other places that have a similar zip code. And it says Beverly Hills, California. So I'm just going to click there. And then it will show down here, and then it will show here. It says the optimal azimuth angle is true south, which is 11.6 degrees east of magnetic south. So here you can see magnetic south, magnetic north, magnetic east, and magnetic west. And it says to place them at 11.6 degrees east of magnetic south. So here's magnetic south. Here it is showing it towards the east. 11.6 degrees. That is the optimum degree that you want to place your panels at in order to get the maximum in solar. So that is how you determine true south. This takes all the hard work out of determining true south, and then all you need is a compass with north, south, east, and west on it to determine how many degrees over you need to be from south. Or if you're down under, it would be north. But for us people in the northern hemisphere, it is going to be so many degrees either to the east or to the west of south. Okay. The other website that I recommend is also Hero. We'll go over here. Okay. So the other website by Footprint Hero is called their solar panel tilt angle calculator. And again, the links are down there in the comments. And this one here, again, just works either from your city or your zip code. So again, I'll put in the 90210 zip code, put in the 9021 zip code, and then use that current location. And it says that it should be 28.8 degrees from horizontal. You want to look through this list, okay, right here, because it tells you the optimum tilt angles by season. So if you want to get the most amount of solar panel for your geographic location in spring, it would be 28.8 degrees. In summer, it would be 13.8 degrees. So you can see that there's quite a bit of difference there between summer and spring and fall. In fall, it's going to be 28.8 degrees, and then they recommend winter is going to be 43.8 degrees. So you can see here that the tilt angle makes a huge amount of difference during the year in which season you're in as to how much solar you're going to be able to collect on your solar panels. You can see that in winter it's going to be almost 45 degrees, which is where I have my panels set is at this 43 degrees. In fall it's only going to be 28 degrees. In spring it's going to be 28 degrees. In summer, when the sun is very high, it's only going to be 13.8 degrees. Here it gives it to you by month. So if you want to get very specific about what tilt you want to use for your solar panels for a specific month, if you know that you happen to use a lot more power, like in summer when it's really hot, and you're going to be running an air conditioner, then you may want to consider setting it for maybe whatever month is the hottest month for your zip code. For your zip code or your city. So say you chose July as being your hottest month, you may want to set your solar panel tilt to 18.8 degrees so that you're getting the maximum amount of sun power to power an air conditioning unit. If you're using it mostly in winter and you're worried about your winter, then you probably want to set it for your November and December tilt. So that makes a huge difference. Again, these websites are made by Footprint Hero. They've taken out all of the hard work and guesswork for you. All you need is your city or zip code, or a city or zip code close to you would be adequate for this. On that, and it says that my true south direction is 11.6 degrees east of magnetic south. So the way you determine that, you will need a compass for this. Most phones nowadays have a compass on them. If not, you can buy a compass online. You can get them at any place that sells scouting goods or camping goods. You will need a compass. You will set your compass so that you can see south on the compass, okay? And it should be pointing, it will actually point to north, but you're going to angle it so that it is looking directly at south. And then when you look on the compass, it will have so many degrees, usually 10 degrees, in between south and east, and south and west, okay? If your angle, like here it says that my true south is 11.6 degrees east of south, then what I would do is count over 10 degrees. There will be 10 little marks in here. I would count over one of the marks, and that is the direction my solar panel would be facing. So here's what that would look like in an actual solar panel. If my south is this direction here, and it says that it needs to be 10.6 degrees to the east, then my solar panel is going to be turned, okay, to face true south. This is going to give me the maximum amount, and I want to show that again. I want to show you that I'm actually going to turn my solar panel 10.6 degrees to the south. So now you can see that it is facing just slightly off from south. South is this direction, and I'm facing about this direction, 10.6 degrees. That gives me the proper orientation for the direction that the sun is going to be crossing over the sky from my geographic location, all right? In summer, the sun is going to come up and is going to be much higher in the sky, okay? So the tilt angle that you want for summer may be different, is going to be different than it is going to be for in the winter. In the winter, the sun is going to travel at a much lower arc. Now, generally for off-gridders, we want to tilt our panels so that they are getting the maximum amount of sun in the wintertime, because that's when we don't get as much sun. So we want to make sure that we're getting the optimum amount of sun. And for solar panels that are permanently mounted, they will generally be mounted at that tilt. Okay. If you are able to adjust your tilt, then you can get better solar power in the summer by adjusting it to a lower tilt, and catch the optimum amount of sun as it's traveling over the sky, and then adjust it for a winter tilt so that you're getting it at a lower arc in the sky. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you have a permanent mount that you can't change the tilt, then you probably want to tilt it towards the winter sun, unless you live in an area where it doesn't really matter and you want to get the or if you're only using if you're using it for like a recreation cabin or something like that, where you only go up and use it maybe during the summer and you don't ever use it during the winter. Maybe you want to angle and tilt your panels so that it's getting maximum sunlight in the summer. That's going to be up to you to decide when you want the most sun. So I've explained how to do a proper orientation using both the angle towards the sun and tilt. Now, there may be times when you want more solar power at certain times of the day, and you also want to consider that in when you set your panels. So, for example, if you use a lot of appliances in the earlier part of the afternoon or morning, then you may want to tilt your panels even slightly more one direction or the other direction, depending on the angle that your sun crosses your geographic location. So if my sun comes up over here and I want to get the most amount of sun on my solar panels in the mornings and early afternoon, then I would probably want to tilt my panels just slightly so that I get more sun coming this direction. This is based on your power use there at your house. At my place, I want most of my sun at true south, so I set my panels at true south. But if I used a lot of appliances in the morning time, then I might angle it slightly towards the east. That way I would get a little bit more. That way I'd get a little bit more solar power as the sun is crossing the sky early in the morning. The exact opposite is true if you want more solar power in the afternoon. If you're running, say, an air conditioner or something off of your solar power system, well, it's not going to probably get very hot until it reaches somewhere around noon. And then usually in the afternoons and evenings is when you usually are going to be using air conditioning, because you're at work during the daytime, you may be home in the evening, so you want to make sure your air conditioning's running. In that case, you would probably want to angle it more directly towards true south, or maybe even a little bit towards the west direction, so that you're getting more of the sun as it's crossing from this direction. Then you're going to get more of an angle here, so that you're optimizing the amount of sunlight that you're getting during the afternoon and to the later part of the evening, so that you can run an air conditioner or tools or whatever it is that you're running. So that's also important in your orientation. You need to think about what time of day you're most likely to use your appliances. You need to think about what months you're most likely to use it. If you're going to be using it in mostly in summer and you want optimum, then you want to have a tilt on your panels so that you're getting the very high sunlight. So you're getting that good sunlight as the sun is very high in the sky in summer. If you're in winter, like a lot of off-gridders live full-time off-year, we generally concentrate on tilting and angling our panels to get the best sun in winter, because it's crossing at a lower azimuth or a lower angle. So we want to make sure that we're getting maximum amount of sun on our solar panels in winter, and that will still give us adequate amount of sun when the sun is very high in the summertime. Okay, it won't give us maximum amount in summertime, but if you have your panels sized correctly, your battery sized correctly for winter use, for off-grid, it will still cover whatever you need in the summertime. The other thing I would just mention, which I'll do a whole other video on probably, is you want to be sure that you are not blocking any sun. And that can be very important, because sunlight comes up, and if you have a tree sitting over here, it may pass across the tree that's going to shade your panels. Shade on panels is bad no matter what, okay? If you have shade on panels, especially if they're hooked in series, you could eliminate a whole lot of solar power that you should be getting from your sun. So one of the things you're going to have to consider is you may need to remove a tree. If there's something on top of your roof, like a chimney, or the angle of the roof has more than one angle, and so it's blocking part of your sun, those are all things that you're going to have to consider if you're using a roof mount. Now, as you noticed outside, I'm using a ground mount. My mount is a permanent mount system. It's always mounted at about 43 degrees at true south. However, now they have some really great mounting systems out there that are very affordable, that you can get so that you can adjust both the angle towards the sun and you can adjust the tilt so that you can change it during the year. And I really wish that I was able to change mine in summer to get more of that high solar power. Mine still works really great, and I get good solar power in summer, but it would be nice if I could go out and lower the tilt on my panels so that when the sun is really high, I can get that maximum amount of solar power out of there. Okay, so I'm going to show you here where you can go and look and get these mounting systems for a ground mount system. They may also work for some roofs if your roof is fairly flat, so that you can adjust both the angle and the tilt of your panels. So let's go look at those. Okay, so you notice that out there at my solar panels, I made my own solar mountings, and I actually used my horse hitching post and some cement blocks and some pressure-treated lumber to make my own system. Back then, they didn't have nice racks like this that have an adjustable panel mounting system. Now, these are made by EcoWorthy. There may be some other brands out there. I don't know. I just know that these are a fairly decent price. Made by EcoWorthy. They are an adjustable most solar panel mounting bracket kit system for 1 to 4 panels. They will handle panel sizes up to 195 watts. So you could get approximately 800 watts of solar panels on this system here. It is a system that is mounted either to the ground, and I would or to cement blocks, or you could possibly put this on your roof. If you have a flat roof like a shed roof, you could possibly mount this to your shed roof. What I like about this is adjustable, so you can adjust it for both your summer and your winter angles. By adjusting the side rails, you can adjust this so that in the summer, when the sun is very high, you can adjust it to be a flatter angle, so that you're going to get maximum amount of solar during summer. And in winter, you could adjust them up so that it is angled more towards the winter sun when it is much lower. Again, those are made by EcoWorthy. They are shows them at $169, and they have a $25 off coupon. So that's a pretty good deal, I think, for a mounting system if you don't want to build your own and you want one that is adjustable. All right, I think that's a good deal. You can go look at those if you're interested. Okay, so one of the things that I want to emphasize here is before you go installing any solar or if you're building a house or you're buying a house, you're going to be building an off-grid cabinet or something like that, you want to take into consideration getting the best angle, and so that if you're going to be using solar panels, you want to make sure that you're getting the optimum amount of solar for your system. Now, the house orientation is going to make a big difference in that. If your house roof is oriented the wrong direction and your sun is coming up at an angle like this, then you're probably not going to get the best sun. So maybe a roof mount system might not be the best system for you. Okay, so that's when we would go to a ground mount system. And I'd also encourage people that are using off-grid systems. Like I said, my system's only 1 kilowatt, powers everything in my house, and I have almost all of the modern conveniences, including swamp cooler, air conditioner, microwave, run a vacuum, run my water pump, everything like that off of just a small system. You don't need a really huge system if you properly orient your panels to get the maximum amount of sunlight for your geographic location. You can save money by not having to buy as many solar panels. So you're saving money by taking the steps to properly orient and tilt and angle your solar panels to get the maximum amount of solar that you can get. Also, a ground mount system, I'll tell you straight up, a ground mount system is so much easier in wintertime if you've got snow to get the snow off of the panels. It's also much easier for doing any maintenance. If you ever need to check any of the wiring or anything like that, it's at ground level. You can go out and look at all that stuff. Now, in 10 years since I set up my solar panel that you see out there, I have done absolutely zero maintenance on that system. Okay, it has run for the last 10 years without doing the only maintenance that I've had to do is brush off the snow in wintertime. I've done videos of that too. Other than keeping the snow off and any debris, dirt sometimes collects on them, dust, I have to wash them off in summer occasionally if leaves fall off them or something like that. But that is the only maintenance I've done on my system in 10 years. I took the time to maximize the angle and the tilt, so I'm getting the most use out of the sunlight that I'm getting, and that way I don't have to have a huge system, and I can also do the maintenance on it myself. And as I get older, I don't want to be getting up on a roof and trying to do maintenance on solar panels, and I save money because I don't need as many solar panels. All right, I hope this was interesting to you. If you have questions, put them down there in the comments. I'm always willing to help people and try and help set up their systems. I've been off-grid 20 years. Over that time, I've made my share of mistakes. I've learned a lot about especially small solar panel systems. A lot more people are interested in off-grid systems. A lot more people are interested in setting up an emergency solar power system at their grid homes so that they can have backup power if there's a blackout, something I highly recommend. You don't have to have a huge system. Anything, 400 watts is a really good size to start with. 800 watts is great. Up to 1 kilowatts is probably all you need to run a large majority of the appliances and things that you use every day at your homes. All right, folks, have a great day.